Everybody, it's the France, and we are for our Monday Night Raw review for August 17th, 2020. This was another piss poor episode of Monday Night Raw. This is the final episode for now in the PC, as we are going into the Thunderdome. The Thunderdome, which will be happening inside the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. So they're not really leaving the area, they're just going to a new venue. There's going to be lights, there's going to be drone cameras, there's going to be virtual fans. If you've actually been watching any NBA games, they have had those there. Tonight's show started off with massive technical difficulties, as Retribution was in the production trucks. So we go to the arena. Tom apologizes for the technical difficulties and mentions concern over Retribution. The NXT development talent cheer on the crowd as the announced team goes to tonight's SummerSlam go-home show, and this show fucking sucked. We are 6 nights away from SummerSlam. This is the go-home show, and this show was fucking terrible. Drew enters the ring. He's talking about what happened with Randy Orton last week with Ric Flair. We see what happened last week. He says, what Orton, for what you did last week, completely unforgivable. Brutalizing Flair, goes on about how great Flair is, pointing out how he's a 71-year-old man who was close to Orton, but Orton just kicked him to the skull after he poured his heart out. Orton is pure evil, and Orton isn't facing a defenseless old man at SummerSlam. He's facing a severely pissed off, fire-breathing Scottish dragon, and he's going to hurt Orton. Not just for Flair, but for everyone Orton has wronged. And then the technical difficulties, we're having like the SummerSlam logo, the screen going black, but it just was all over the place. He's still talking in the ring. We go to the back, and we see the production truck with Retribution. They have baseball bats. The masked man and female are attacking. They start destroying parts of the equipment, destroying laptops, TVs. And then they have one guy held against the wall, and a masked man yells at him to cut the show off, and he finally gives in, pressing the button, and Raw goes to black, straight to commercial. So, and that's all we saw of Retribution tonight. That was it. Nothing else. I'm like, what the fuck? That's the best you have for us, is Retribution doing that? What a ripoff. Back from break, and Drew McIntyre is in the back with a group of superstars: Titus O'Neil, Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali, the Viking Raiders, Akira Tozawa, Riddick Moss, Humberto Carrillo, and a few others. Titus asks if Ric Flair's okay, and he says he's going to be alright. Drew goes on about how Randy Orton, how he's going to Randy Orton's going to get what's coming to him at SummerSlam this Sunday, but Retribution is a problem, and I don't appreciate people coming into my backyard and crapping all over the place. And we can either just sit here and do nothing, or we can band together and take these guys out. And then Seth Rollins comes in, and Rollins mocks Drew and says, as a Messiah, he's already a locker room leader, and Drew says he's been trying this for years, and if they're not respecting him now, it won't happen. Rollins says being champion doesn't make Drew a leader or a teacher. Rollins says he is the first to teach Drew about being a champion. Just like he taught Dominic last week. And how Ricochet says Seth is about to get a seat for what he did to Dominic. Ricochet and Cedric both said they've heard the little birdie say that Rey Mysterio will be here tonight, but Seth doesn't believe them. Drew asks if Rollins is scared. Rollins isn't, because he knows how to protect himself and others around him. Seth says Drew couldn't even protect Flair last week and needs to go get his priorities right, or he will lose the WWE title at SummerSlam. Drew threatens to drop Rollins where he stands and shoves Murphy as Murphy gets in the way. The others calm him down. Rollins and Murphy leave. Ricochet tells Drew he's not worth it. We go back to the ring, and we are only on the hard cam. We have no other camera right now, even though Retribution attacked the backstage area. The cameras up here don't work anymore for whatever reason. So the Hurt Business comes out. MVP's music plays. We have no Titantron, just none of this shit going on. They come down. MVP says whatever Retribution night might be, the Hurt Business is officially open for business. Says while others are worried about what Retribution might strike next, the Hurt Business is calling them out. He goes on about how Retribution isn't tough, attacking people from the shadows. What's tough is he, Benjamin, and Lashley. MVP says he's always learned to follow the money. Who benefits from the most from Retribution following the money trail, and it leads to the catering to the United States champion Apollo Crews and his band of merry pranksters Ricochet, Mustafa Ali, and Cedric Alexander. MVP bets Crews came up with the Retribution while he was at home and on the couch. He goes on about why he thinks Crews is behind Retribution, and out comes Cedric Alexander himself. I'm sorry, not Cedric, but Apollo Crews. Apollo says he knows how MVP is, but he accuses him of being behind Retribution is pretty low. MVP is just trying to come up with a distraction before the title match at SummerSlam because MVP knows he can't beat Crews. They trade some barbs back and forth, and Crews approaches the ringside area. He says if he can beat Shelton tonight, then Shelton and Bobby Lashley will be banned from ringside at SummerSlam, and we'll have to watch from catering. And of course, MVP dropped one of the biggest truth bombs about this is that Apollo Crews has had the most start-stops in WWE from his time coming up from the main roster. He got a little bit of a push. Then he was stopped and he was gone. Then he got a little bit of a push. Then he stopped and he was gone. And then he got another little bit of a push. Then he was stopped and he's gone. Start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. That is the tale for a lot of talent on the main roster. They give you about 2 weeks. If Vince doesn't feel you're over in those 2 weeks, he drops you. Unless you're like Roman Reigns or somebody that Vince McMahon has vast of interest in. Also, as he said in this barbs going back and forth, is like Cedric Alexander, Apollo Crews is worried that if he loses that United States Championship, it's back to catering with him. And Apollo's like, you're right. You're right. If I lose this championship, it's back to catering. That's why I work and fight every single day to make sure I keep this championship. So Benjamin comes out. They attack. Goes for the attack. Apollo Crews gets out of the way and gets into the ring. So we have this match. Not a very long match. And we know why this was not a very long match because of what happens later in the show. But Apollo Crews, they run right out of the ring, and then R-Truth comes out. So out of nowhere, R-Truth comes around. He comes through the ring, gets out of the way as Akira Tozawa is running after him. They run right through the ring, up the ramp, to the back, leads to Crews taking advantage of the distraction, dropping Benjamin for a quick 1, 2, 3. After the bell, Lashley and MVP immediately hit the ring and attack Crews, Mustafa Ali, Cedric Alexander, and Ricochet all make the save. Lashley catches Cedric coming off the top of the full habit with the full Lashley, which I don't know who thought this was a good idea. WWE likes to give people finishers a name like the Disarm Her or something like that. So Bobby Lashley's full Nelson is now called the Full Lashley. What in the motherfuck is that? The Full Lashley. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. So, Truth comes running back down the ramp to ringside, but Shelton drops him in the floor, covering him for the 1, 2, 3, getting a 24/7 title back. MVP takes the mic and challenges Crews to pick 2 of his partners for a 6-man elimination tag team match later on tonight. Per the stipulation on Crews versus Benjamin, Lashley and Lashley and Benjamin will be barred from ringside. Now, Angel Garza is backstage with Demi Burnett of The Bachelor for the 3rd straight appearance. Ivar interrupts and asks Dennis if she wants to join the raid and be his number 1 to Raw Underground. He hands her a turkey leg and she thanks him. Ivar accuses Garza of poisoning his tag team champion Montez Ford. They had some words and Garza promises to make him pay for their match. In their match, Garza throws a turkey leg on the floor and Ivar has another one handed to him by someone off screen. They end up walking off, leaving Burnett standing there with the turkey leg in one hand and a rose from Garza in the other. Back to commercial break. Good grief. That's just... I don't care who this Demi Burnett is. Who gives a shit? I just don't. Why should anyone give a shit about this? It's just more nonsense for these tag team title matches coming up this coming Sunday at SummerSlam. Back from break, Tom Phillips talks about the new WWE Thunderdome viewing experience. And then we have Ivar versus Angel Garza. What can I say about this? The match didn't go very long. The match wasn't very exciting. Ivar goes out towards the end of the match and launches Garza into the apron in the plexiglass barrier. He brings him back in the ring, but Andrade provides a distraction. Garza decks him and tries to come back in. Garza with a drop kick to the side of the face. Ivar is down. 1, 2, 3. Garza wins. After the match, Garza stands tall. Andrade and Vega join him in the ring. Demi and Dawkins appear on the big screen as Dawkins came over to talk to her during the match. We didn't hear anything they were saying. Dawkins brings up Carly Caruso and Garza gets upset, telling him to mind his own business. Dawkins says, we're about to find out a lot about Garza and the squad he runs with. He points that to the sides and Garza is confused. And the screen goes black. Garza exits the ring and runs to the back. Joe says something's about to come out and it's good. Oh, it's really good. It's a great video. Vega goes to Joe and demands to know what it is. Joe says, due to the actions of Retribution, WWE has recently gone over hundreds of hours of security footage, and he bets Vega would be interesting to see the footage because it shows how far people are willing to go when they think no one is watching. Joe laughs as an angry Vega storms off, telling Andrade to follow, and we go to commercial break. Can I just say, Samoa Joe, we take advantage. We are, what I want to say, we take Samoa Joe for granted. This guy, this entire first 45 minutes to an hour of the show was nothing but complete garbage. Complete garbage. And Samoa Joe, this section here with Samoa Joe, just being Samoa Joe and going out there and giving you this promo right here was the best part of the show so far. Samoa Joe on commentary is one of the best we have, and his promo skills don't ever go from being bad, good to bad. They always get from good to better. So it's just Samoa Joe made this entire thing you wonder, ooh, what the hell does Samoa Joe know? What could it actually be? So we go to the back, and Garza walks up to Demi, Burnett, and Angelo Dawkins. They have words, and here comes Zelina Vega and Andrade as Dawkins gets Demi's phone number because he wants to send her the video. More arguing, Charlie Caruso walks over and asks what's on the video. He calls for someone to roll that tape. The video shows Vega standing there with her back to the camera, doing something. We can't see what she's doing. Then she walks away. There's the red Solo Cup and Angelo and Montez Ford's crown. Vega points the finger at Caruso and says she's behind this because she's jealous of Garza upgrading to Demi. Dawkins ends up stepping up to Garza and is like, you poisoned Tez. And he talks down to them and says his brother wants to smoke, and then Montez Ford appears out of nowhere. They brawl. Andrade and Garza for quick to retreat. So it looks like the smoking gun has always been true, that it was Zelina Vega. How far she would actually go to make sure her boys had the advantage going into SummerSlam. So again, this show was pre-taped. It sucks that WWE did this whole attack angle last weekend, not this past weekend, but last weekend, during a time when they have taped shows. If these shows were pre-taped, and then you're going to go off and do this attack after these shows are taped, that would have been something great to add to the match that they had last week, but unfortunately, like I said, that show was taped. Then we have this is sad. Mickie James versus Natalya. Last week, WWE put out on social media that Mickie James is making a return to Monday Night Raw. And there are people out there who are fans of Mickie James who are probably excited to see what she has been doing. And then WWE said, well, she's going to have her first match back this week. If you missed this match, you missed nothing. Because these two women get about maybe a minute. And then Seth Rollins and Murphy walk down the ramp over to Samoa Joe. He asks Joe how he knows Rey Mysterio will be here tonight. as the match is still going on, and he wants to know Joe's sources, and Joe's like, I ain't giving him my sources, and Joe is just sitting there with like this big smug smile on his face, as he can see Seth Rollins is getting pissed off over and over and over again, as he will not answer what he wants. While this is going on, Natalya knocks Mickie James to the floor. Mickie James could not get back in time for the 10 count. Mickie James lost by countout. On top of that, Mickie James' first match back in over a year. Jobber's entrance. First match back in over a year. Background to Rey Mysterio Dominic feud with Seth Rollins and Murphy. Her first match back, losing by countout. Why did you bring her back if this was all you were going to do? Terrible. Absolutely terrible. So, we are going to have Bayley and Sasha Banks, the Golden Role Models, versus Asuka and Shayna Baszler. Why? Why did this match need to happen? I know we had Asuka win an opportunity at both championships for this Sunday at SummerSlam. Still not happy with the fact that WWE would go ahead and do that. But out comes the women's tag team champions, Sasha Banks and Bayley. They talk about Asuka earning 2 title shots at SummerSlam. They are upset over the match that changed their tune and say they can't wait because they will finally have the night off. They say Asuka thinks she's so smart by entering the Tri-Brand Battle Royal, but she's just stupid. They're going about Asuka being stupid. Banks says there's no chance in hell Asuka can beat both of them in one night. So you're saying there's a chance she's going to be one of you, So you're saying there's a chance. If you wanted to make it seem like she has no chance of beating either of you, you would say something other than saying, well, she's not going to be able to beat both of us. So you're saying she can beat one of you. So they're trying to talk back and forth. Who's going to face Asuka first? No, I should do it. No, you should do it. You're my best friend. I want to see you do it. And Bayley eventually says, you know what? I wouldn't mind. I would love to beat Asuka first so you can easily make her tap out. Banks thanks her and says they will finally go to celebrate because the life is good and no one can stop them. Bayley says they will celebrate all the way to Payback where they will successfully defend their titles against all these. They take shots at the Moronics and everyone else. And then they say maybe Asuka and Kai. Oh, that's right. Kyrie's not here. Out comes Shayna Baszler. Baszler says whoever has the Raw title after SummerSlam, she has next. Out comes Asuka, and she rants down the ring in Japanese and says tonight will be the fight against both of them, and Baszler will have to fight with her before she fights her against her. Baszler and Asuka storm the ring to fight, but the champs will retreat to the floor. So, this match, do anybody remember what happened 2 weeks ago with Sasha Banks and Shayna Baszler? They're having a match. Bayley's on the outside. Asuka's nowhere to be found at the start of the match. Then all of a sudden, Asuka runs down to the ring, attacks Bayley, who wasn't in the match. Referee calls for the bell. Why? I couldn't fucking tell you. What does happen? What happens in this match? Shayna Baszler is on the outside. Baszler gets up outside, but Nia Jax from the other side knocks plexiglass over onto Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax start brawling to the back. Referee doesn't ring the bell. What kind of logic is that? Last week you had Shayna Baszler. No, not last week, but 2 weeks ago you had Shayna Baszler versus Sasha. Bayley's not in the match. Bayley gets attacked. Call no contest. Tonight, Nia Jax brawls with Shayna Baszler. Is it because she was suspended? No, that makes no sense. That makes no sense why they even fucking did that. It makes no sense. WWE's lot, which I'm trying to talk about logic with WWE. Give me a fucking break. This is pathetic. So Asuka gets a 2-on-1, is down 2-1 for majority of this match. Shayna eventually comes back finally. She tags in. She goes out there. She beats the hell out of both of these two. Banks tries to get involved. Asuka gets back over there. She pulls her down outside, puts her in the Asuka lock. Bayley gets put into the there was this good part where Sasha Banks had the Karafuda clutch on her. Bayley gets Shayna Baszler off. Shayna puts her in the Karafuda clutch on, and then we get the backstabber into the Bayley to belly, but she kicks out. So nice little sequence right there. Then Asuka knocks her over, takes her out, puts Banks in the Asuka lock. Bayley tries to go for her current finisher, which I don't know what the fuck they call it. Puts her into the she gets put into the Karafuda clutch. She taps out. Bayley gets beat by Shayna Baszler. Why couldn't you have Shayna Baszler win that title shot and win that match? I just don't understand where they come from here. That should have been a win that gave us Bayley versus Shayna Baszler. But hey, they want to go with what they went with. After the match, Baszler music hits. Asuka is down on the floor trying to recover just a feet away from the floor. The Golden Role Models also trying to recover. Still to come, HBK will be here. Back to commercial break. Back from break, and Tom says that Tey Mystterio is here tonight. We have a lengthy video package looking at the recent happenings between Seth Rollins and Dominic Mysterio. Back from break, and WWE United States Champion Apollo Crews is backstage with Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali, wondering who's going to be the two that are going to help Apollo Crews tonight. And we see Cedric there messing with his shoulder, like trying to get it back into place. And Apollo Crews picks Mustafa Ali and Ricochet. And Cedric's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I need to be in this match. You're my tag team partner, man. We need to be in this match. And Apollo's like, listen, dude. I know what you went through. I know, I don't want you to, get hurt anymore. And they try to talk him down. He does eventually get talked down. All four walk away together, and then we see Randy Orton walk over. And deep thought about later tonight. Shawn Michaels backstage with Drew McIntyre, and he understands Drew getting upset over Ric Flair. And he's like, we know what he means to you. We know what he meant to me. Shawn says Drew has gone too far and worked too hard to mess up for himself. We do get the nice little history of why, she does tell Shawn that I'm WWE Champion, but you were a big part of that. It went a lot to me to come back to WWE, go through NXT, spend time with Shawn Michaels, learn from the man, Shawn Michaels. Shawn talked about how you've been too good to go and even when you tore your biceps, you came here, you worked, you trained, you sat there and watched film with me, you learned under my tree and everything. And he said, all I ask for you tonight is I'm going to go out there later. Let me have my piece, my space. So it is great promo by Shawn Michaels. That was a great spot right there. The Moronics are backstage, mocking Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. Billy Kay reveals that Peyton Royce will take her place in tonight's match against Riott. Peyton hesitates, but it says she's all for it. They call Liv trash. Ruby steps up with them, telling him to never call that again, or else she'll drop them where they stand. Liv pulls Riott away for the Moronics. They mock him. The camera pans, and we see Shayna Baszler as the Moronics look over and is like, who's that? And then we go over and it's Shayna Baszler, Jessamine Duke, and Marina Shafir, making their Monday Night Raw debuts, Duke and Shafir. And Tom Phillips, for whatever fucking reason, has the audacity to ask, is that Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir? What are they doing with Shayna Baszler? What? Are you seriously going to ask that? Did he not watch NXT when Shayna Baszler was on top? They were her running mates. They're 3 of the 4 horsewomen of MMA. Why would you ask? What are they doing there with Shayna Baszler? Are you kidding me? That made Tom Phillips look so stupid. Ruby Riott versus Peyton Royce. This This feud has gone on long enough. I'm tired of seeing the moronics. Get these two off of my TV. This match can be summed up in one thing. Dumb babyface syndrome. As Ruby Riott takes down Peyton Royce on the outside. Liv's like, yeah, that's damn right, way to go. And then Billy Kay comes over, she's talking trash, Liv Morgan gets in between them. So Liv Morgan is in front of Ruby Riott. Peyton Royce comes up from behind, shoves Ruby Riott into Liv Morgan, knocking Liv Morgan over, takes her in, hits what she calls the deja vu, which is better than the fucking Mick DDT or the Fool Lashley. So let's just go there, and gets the win. Good grief. I don't know what else to say about that. So Peyton Royce gets another win. Whoop-de-doo. We see Shane McMahon with his security card. Jordan, that big huge fucking guy who used to be the Ninja for about 2 weeks. So we come back from break and we have more Raw Underground with let's see here. We had Shane McMahon calling the action. He had Dolph Ziggler right beside him. Eric of the Viking Raiders was fighting some guy, some kid. I have no idea who he was. He beats him down, no problem. Then Dolph Ziggler comes in. They have a fight. Dolph Ziggler gets a super hold on, gets a thumb to the eye, and eventually gets the win. Ivar goes over, is pissed off, and shoves Dolph Ziggler off. They will have a fight in Raw Underground next week inside the Thunderdome. We go back to the ring, and Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic Mysterio. We see the shots and marks from Dominic's body after last week's kendo stick. I would hate to have to take in a shower that night with all those kendo stick shots. Rey says, and by the way, Rey Mysterio has a mask on with his one eye, with a metal plate, it looks like it's a solid like metal or plastic piece of whatever covering so you can't see his quote-unquote injured eye. So there's one word he has experienced since the Eye for the Eye match at Extreme Rules: pain. Pain at first because of what Rollins did to his eye, but even worse, pain because of what Rollins did to his son. Ray says he watched from his firstborn cry in pain while there was nothing he could do about it. Made him feel an urge that he never felt before. Tells Dominic and he needed to be there to protect him, to stop the beating, to take it himself. Ray says he may not be fully recovered from Extreme Rules, and there's a chance he may never fully recover. Bullshit. But there's no doctor on earth that will stop him from protecting his son. He says who has a cover over one of his eyes. He has a cover over one of his eyes. Addresses Rollins and says he will be in Dominic's corner to watch him kick Rollins' ass at SummerSlam. Dominic says he appreciates that, but he knows what he's going to do. He was getting into when he signed his contract to become a WWE superstar, and knows that what he has to do to protect his family. He says he will be ready. They hug. Dominic has no idea how proud his father is. He loves his son so much and admires his fight, determination, and will to fight for the family name. He knows his son will be ready to kick some ass, and if Rollins gets anywhere near him tonight, he will be the one who doesn't make it to SummerSlam. Rollins and Murphy on the corner and says that Rollins and Murphy appear on the big screen, and they're like, you guys have the audacity to show up in my ring. Ray's like, you know what? Why don't you come down here and keep your word, like fight us? So Rey Mysterio and them in there. Out come Rollins and Rollins and Murphy. Dominic and Rey Mysterio exit the ring as Murphy and Seth Rollins make it to the ring. Rey Mysterio walks around, distracting Rollins and Murphy. Dominic goes from holding his stomach like he's in pain, stands up, grabs 2 kendo sticks, and smacks Rollins in the back. Then Rey Mysterio comes in and they beat the bejesus off of both of these two. They get their time. They get their revenge right now, and we get ourselves ready for the next show. I'm hoping this entire feud ends on Sunday. It's gone on long enough. It's been going on since the night after Money in the Bank, and I think it's time we move on. Plain and simple. I think it's time. So, Cedric Alexander's backstage when MVP walks up to him to sit next to him. Cedric isn't happy and he asks MVP what he wants. MVP tries to come between Cedric and his friends, and Cedric accuses him for stirring the pot. MVP goes on and tries to make Cedric question Ricochet and Apollo's Crews. He says he made an offer for Cedric a while ago, and an offer still stands for now. MVP walks off and Cedric is thinking, and then he's thinking, he has his water bottle and he just tosses it pissed off. And it feels like right now they're going to tease a heel turn for Cedric. Would that happen? We go back to Shane in the Underground and introduces Arturo Ruiz and Riddick Moss for the next fight. They have themselves a fight. They go out to the outside. It's still going at it. They end up dropping a few of the extras and facing off. Shane gives them props for the fight, and there was no winner, and that was that. 6-way elimination match, The Hurt Business versus Apollo Crews, Ricochet, and Mustafa Ali. This. So Shelton Benjamin and Ali start things off. Shelton drops Ali in the corner. And Ricochet, okay, so Mustafa Ali lasted maybe 95 seconds at the most. He gets eliminated. And within 65 seconds later, what happens? Ricochet goes down. So it's a 3-on-1 attack. A 3-on-1 fight. Apollo Crews eliminates Shelton Benjamin. As he's leaving, Cedric Alexander comes from behind, rolls up. Shelton Benjamin gets the 1-2-3 as your new 24/7 champion. He grabs the Titans like, what now, Hurt Business? What now, Hurt Business? So there's that. We go to commercial break. We come back. Apollo Crews ends up eliminating MVP about 2-3 minutes later. And then it's down to Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley versus Apollo Crews. That lasts for another about 3 minutes. Apollo Crews eats a spear after trying to do a couple things, but it doesn't work. Hurt Business ended up winning, and that was that. Get a plug for SummerSlam. We saw Shane McMahon backstage talking to Shayna Baszler, Jessamine Duke, and Marina Shafir, and then we come back to the ring to see Akira Tozawa versus Cedric Alexander, and I don't know if I don't know because like all the technical difficulties that happened earlier, but for some reason my feed went completely like gray. I had like it started to cut and went completely gray, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And the next thing you know, I know Cedric Alexander won. He ends up winning. He goes up, celebrates, comes back down, eats a lie detector, 1, 2, 3, and a new champion is born in Shelton Benjamin. And I saw a tweet that I found hilarious. It was like, this title is being passed around more than Lana Lana during her career. I'm like, I'm dead. I'm done. That wins tweet of the night. So yeah, Baszler's on. So we see what happened with the Raw Underground earlier. Then we come back in. We see Marina Shafir taking on some other woman that I have no idea. She beats the bejesus off this person. She beats them. Puts them in a crazy submission, wins that brawl. Then Nia Jax attacks her from behind. Jessamine Duke tries to get involved. She eats a knee. Then Shayna Baszler gets up. Looks like we're going to get Nia Jax versus Shayna Baszler in Raw Underground, which I guarantee you anybody would have been okay with. The bell rings, and Nia Jax leaves like a pansy. What else are you going to do about it? And then, so yeah, you know why she left. Because she knows if she was to face Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax would have her arm ripped off and beaten within an inch of her life. Andrade versus Montez Ford. This match just doesn't even like. This match happened, of course, 2 weeks ago, and then you know what happened. Montez Ford fell over because he was supposedly poisoned. So this match didn't last very long either. Ford mounts mounts some more momentum. It hits a standing moonsault for a close 2. Andrade sends Rick Ford back to the shots in the chest. Ford comes back with a Hurricane Rana, bringing Andrade down to the top. Ford gets hyped up and Vega goes on the apron, but distraction, also distracting the referee as they get on top. Bianca Belair ends up running down and defend her husband, jumps Vega from the apron, catches her crossbody. Belair slams Vega on the floor, then chaos leads to Ford rolling up a distracted Andrade for a 1, 2, 3. And that was that. So, where was Bianca Belair when all this brawl was going on earlier? She's been here the entire night. Where was this earlier? What the fuck? After the match, the Street Profits and Belair will group on the ramp and celebrate as we go to the replay as Vega and the crew will recover as Belair and the Profits celebrate. Shawn Michaels backstage as he's walking, and we get the crowd. We get him to come out for his speech. We once again get to see Ric Flair and everything that happened last week. Then Shawn Michaels says, hold on. Let's see. He says, without Flair, some of WWE's greatest wouldn't exist. Batista, Edge, Triple H, Michaels himself, Big Show, others. And says, one of those guys on there is you, Randy Orton. But Orton doesn't respect or care about Flair like others. He goes on about Orton not being very appreciative, not having the gratitude that other greats have, feeling like he was owed everything and deserves everything. Shawn can't promise how it will happen, but it's going to happen. Orton will either meet the Justice at SummerSlam on the end of a sweet chin music, or a Claymore from Drew McIntyre, but he promises Orton will see that coming. My question is, what does that mean, a sweet chin music? Are you going to... I thought he was going to say, because I'm going to be the special guest referee for this match, and he didn't say that. So, I don't know what he means by that. Shawn Michaels' music hits. He turns to leave the ring when all of a sudden Randy Orton hits an RKO out of nowhere, then a punt kick to the head. And unlike everybody else who's taken the punt kick who just lay there dead, Shawn Michaels is moving around as if that was nothing. So, Orton retreats as McIntyre comes down. McIntyre checks on Shawn Michaels, and Orton comes from behind. Drew McIntyre stops that. He beats the brakes off of him. And then Drew McIntyre goes back to talk to Shawn Michaels and see what's going on. And then he eats an RKO. And that's how the show ends, as Shawn Michaels is up halfway and Drew McIntyre is climbing up. And the show goes off the air. We only saw Retribution at the beginning of the show. They took over the Raw production truck, and then they never left. And then they left. It feels like they're nothing but children. They break something, they cheer about it, and they go away. Now, what was his name? Not Brian Alvarez, but his Mike Sevavivi, I think it is. Yeah, Mike Sevavivi called them Antria. Antra, or something like that. Instead of Antifa, they're Antria, anti-ratings. That's what they are. Retribution is a joke. They haven't done anything that impresses me yet. Beating up a bunch of weaklings because they can, it's nothing. They haven't done anything. Like, yay, we threw a cinder block through a window, a door. We threw another cinder block through that same door. Let's celebrate and run away. Tell me, like, as people have stated out, this is going to suck until the end, until we find out who's actually going to be under these people, under these masks. Then I would say that even if it's somebody that's worth a damn, it's not going to be anybody worth a damn. Unless it's somebody great or somebody who could build a faction and be the leader of a faction and the grouping around them. If it's like Vanessa Bourne and the Singh brothers and like somebody else that nobody cares about, it's going to be a failure no matter what. They need to give us you need to put the right people behind these attacks, or nobody's going to give a shit. Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. I am like 50-50 right now on who's going to win that match. Do you build the star? Do you make Drew McIntyre a big enough star, or do you continue the momentum of Randy Orton? I don't know. Dominic versus Seth Rollins will be interesting, and honestly, I really don't care about the rest of the show. But that's your Monday Night Raw review. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. Find me on Instagram at The France Club. And I will see you guys Wednesday for AEW. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you won't. I guess you won't. You'll see me Friday for SmackDown, and then Saturday for AEW, and Sunday for SummerSlam. Until then, my name is The France, and I'll see you guys later.